Welcome. Let's look at this particular question under probability. This question came from one of the past examination years. So the question reads, a box of chalk contains 5 white, 4 blue, and 3 yellow pieces of chalk. A piece of chalk is selected at random from the box and not replaced. A second piece of chalk is then selected. So that's the information that we have. Then the question number 1 says, draw a tree diagram to show all possible outcomes. Question number 2 reads, find the probability of selecting pieces of chalk of the same color. So the first thing that we're going to do is to draw a tree diagram to show all possible outcomes. Now remember, as we draw this tree diagram, we see that the tree diagram will have 3 branches. That is to say, it will have the white, the blue, and the yellow. Let's see how we go about this particular question. The solutions. So we're going to draw this particular tree diagram, and it will look like this. It will have 3 branches. It will have the white, the blue, and the yellow. So the white pieces of chalk were 5, and the blue were 4, and the yellow were 3. So let's put those probabilities. So the white were 5 out of the total number of the pieces of chalk. 5 plus 4, that's 9. 9 plus 3, that's 12. So the total number of the chalk, or the pieces of chalk, were actually 12. 5 plus 4, 9 plus 3, 12, right? So this is 5 out of the total number of pieces of chalk, 12, right? Then the blue were 4, take note. So this will be 4 out of 12. Then the yellow were 3. So this will be 3 out of the total 12. Now take note. A piece of chalk, the first piece of chalk was picked from this particular box. Now we do not know what that piece of chalk was. We do not know whether it was white, blue, or yellow. We did not know. Now, what we do know is one piece of chalk, regardless of the color, was actually picked. So in our first branch here, we're going to suppose we're going to come up with another tree diagram here. Of course, another a tree here. So with this branch here, we're going to have the 3 branches in the respective manner. So we're going to have the white, the blue, and the yellow. Now here, suppose when that piece of chalk was picked from this box, suppose it was white. Suppose it was white. If we go by this branch here, suppose it was white. Remember, when a piece of chalk was picked from the box, it was not retained, meaning the number reduced, the total number of pieces of chalk actually reduced it from 12 to 11. So if it was a white, so the white pieces of chalk reduced it from 5 to 4. And at the same time, the total number of chalk in the box reduced it from 12 to 11. Remember, this was done one at a time. Okay, one at a time. Meaning, the blue pieces of chalk maintained. There were still 4. But ultimately, the total still reduced, and that was 11. Then the yellow, the yellow also actually maintained. So 3 out of the total 11. So this is what you do. This is actually what you do. Let me just write this properly. Let's continue. So this is what we have here. Okay, take note please. Great. So that is it about this first branch. In this first branch, we suppose that piece of chalk that was picked was a white one. Then we see that the total number of pieces of chalk in that particular box are reduced from 12 to 11. No wonder we have 11 here. But now that it was white, we see that from 5 we reduced it by 1, and this became 4. So 4 out of 11. Now remember, this was done one at a time. Okay, meaning the blue maintained the 4. Take note. The yellow also maintained the 3. But remember, the total reduced because one piece of chalk, it actually was picked and was not returned. So the number reduced from 12 to 11 throughout. No wonder we are seeing the denominators here to be 11 because it was without a replacement. Okay, good. In the second instance, we see that suppose in this particular branch, suppose that piece of chalk that was actually, picked, suppose it was a blue. If it was a blue, then we're going to have something like this. Observe. We're going to have something like this. We maintain the number of branches as the mother here, as we're able to see the mother branch, the mother stem. Okay, so we're going to have the first branch as our white. We maintain the order, that's white, blue, and yellow. So this is white, blue, and yellow. Observe. Now in this second branch, we are supposing now that it was blue. If it was blue that was picked, then the white maintained, that is to say 5. So there are 5. But remember, the total reduced from 12 to 11. Now that it was blue, we know it reduced it from 4 to 3. But the total ultimately changed from 12 to 11. The same is true of the Y. The Y maintained because this time around we are saying suppose it is blue. So the yellow one actually maintained, that's a 3 out of the total 11. Take note. Okay, then let's move on to the last branch here from the stem. Observe, which is the yellow. Suppose this time around in our third branch, suppose a piece of chalk that was picked was yellow. Here we see that we're going to maintain the number of branches, that is to say white, blue, and of course yellow. Now this time around we are saying suppose the piece of chalk that was picked was yellow, then we see that it reduced it from 3 to actually 2, but the number reduced as well from 12 to 11, meaning the blue maintained. Okay, remember the blue, there were 4, so the blue maintained the 4, but still the total number was 11. And the same is true of the white. Now that here we're not considering the white, meaning the white was maintained its number, and that is 5. So they were still intact, the 5, but the total number reduced from 12 to 11. This is the idea. You see, once you do this, you'll have actually, attempted this particular question here. Now let's see and finish up these probabilities. Let's see what we need to do, what else we need to actually do. Okay, this is a beautiful probability diagram which you're able to see here. Okay, so once you are done, we now move on to the second question, which requires us to actually find the probability of selecting pieces of chalk of the same color. Take note. Okay, so this is what we've done. This is the first so this is the answer to the first question. So we've drawn a tree diagram and we've actually shown all the possible outcomes. Okay, now let's move on to question number 2, which requires us to actually find the probability of selecting pieces of chalk of the same color. So question number 2, we are asked to find the probability of the same color, pieces of chalk, of selecting the pieces of chalk of the same color. Okay, so this will be as follows. We see here that of the same color, so it can be white, take note, or it can be blue, observe, or still it can be yellow, take note. Okay, that's what you need to do, because this can be probability of white, or probability of blue, or still the probability of yellow. That's what you do. Then from there, we're simply going to add the probabilities. So the probability of white, if you want, you can come here and try to write down the probabilities of the same color. Let's observe. So let's continue so that we see the probability of picking white. So it will be 5 out of 12. Observe. This will be probability of white. It will be, observe, this will be 5 out of 12. We are multiplying times 4 out of 11, plus probability of blue, that is 4 out of 12 times 3 out of 11, plus probability of yellow. We see we have 3 twelfths and 2 elevenths. So we're going to have 3 twelfths times 2 elevenths. From here, we're going to simplify this. When you do so, you're going to have in here, this is 1, this is 3. So we have 5 out of 33 plus. In here, we have 1/3. We have 1/3 times 3 elevenths. The 3 will cancel out. So we have 1 out of 11. In the last one, we have 1/6. Take note, we have 1/6 and 1/2, and this will be 1 out of 22. Now we're going to simplify this particular probability and see what we're going to actually have. Okay, now I want to show you on the calculator how to compute these 3 fractions, how to express these 3 fractions as a single fraction using the calculator. Please observe. So the first fraction that we have is 5 over 33. So you open the brackets, the parentheses, just open the parentheses there, then put 5 divided by 33. Okay, as we're able to see, then you close the parentheses, then again you add, you say plus, we have 1 out of 11, you say 1 divided by 11. You open the parentheses again, you say 1 divided by 11. You close the parentheses. You go to the last one, we have got plus, so say plus 1 divided by 22. You open the parenthesis, take note, you say 1 divided by 22. Then you close the parenthesis. Once you close, then you press the equal sign. And you're going to have that. But this is the decimal fraction. And you don't run the decimal fraction. If you don't run the decimal fraction, you go to the D/C button, which is right here. D+C button. Hopefully you're able to see this particular button here. Okay, you go to this particular button which shows D/C, this button here. Okay, this is the button that you press. Observe, when you press it, we're going to have, a fraction simplified in its lowest terms. So the probability therefore is 19/66. So we're going to write our answer. So we're going to have 19/66 as our answer. This is the probability of picking the pieces of chalk of the same color. Will equal to 19/66, and this is the solution. Thank you for watching.